Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media. Today we are looking at Trump tweets of October 1st and maybe one or two from the 2nd. And with me I have Thomas, pain in the ass of the globalists, who is a world-class Trump tweet decoder.
And a world-class pain in the ass.
That's right. Now, let's get started. But basically the theme of these tweets is that Donald Trump has taken the globalists to school. So first tweet is, late last night, our deadline. We reached a wonderful new trade deal with Canada to be added into the deal already reached with Mexico. The new name will be the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA. It's a great deal for all three countries, solves deficiencies and mistakes in NAFTA, greatly opens markets to our farmers and manufacturers, reduce trade barriers to the U.S., and will bring all three great nations closer together in competition with the rest of the world. The USMCA is a historic transaction.
All I can say is, we told you so. We told you that Trudeau doesn't have a pair. He must have rented a pair late last night at the 12th hour, at the last second. And so there was no negotiation, as we told you. There would be no negotiation. Canada has no leverage, and they could only accept what we offered. And that's exactly what happened. So my arm's hurting from reaching so far back there to tap myself on the back, because we told you that Trudeau didn't even know what a tariff was. He doesn't know anything about trade. When he spoke about it, he is a complete idiot.
And you say that because there was a video clip of Trudeau describing a tariff, and we watched him struggle through the definition. It was very bad.
He absolutely has no idea what it means.
But he does what his globalist masters tell him to do, and that would probably be all those folks sitting on the Privy Council. And I want to know, how does this new deal affect the United Kingdom as it's related to Canada and trade?
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because we need more to talk about on this Trump tweet. So let's look at the fact that Canada is sucking hind teat. That's just the bottom line. They didn't even get to negotiate. They simply got to come in on the deal with Mexico. And remember, both of these Mexican presidents, the current one that was recently elected, and the previous one, and the one before him, all said the same thing. There's no way they're going to work with Trump. There's no way that they're going to do a trade deal with Trump. There's no way they're going to build the wall. Well, they just built the wall, folks. That trade deal gives America trillions of dollars. We lost between $3.5 to $5 trillion in the time NAFTA existed. Trillions of dollars. You might ask yourself, how is that possible? That's because we had presidents who sold out America to the highest bidder, while they, behind the scenes, got their piece of the pie. Kind of like Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, and their offshore tax-free haven deals that they have done for their family, Foremost Shipping.
Isn't it the most egregious thing you've ever seen? Right in your face. There she is. Chinese family, Chinese shipping, putting money in her pockets and her husband's, Mitch McConnell's.
I can't tell you how many times I have said that if there is anyone in a major position holding particularly the chairmanship of any major committee in the Senate or the House, they have an offshore account, and they are being paid by our enemies. So if you think that I was exaggerating when I said Mitch McConnell has offshore accounts and he's being paid by the Chinese, hello, we now have the proof. If you think that I'm exaggerating to say that Dianne Feinstein has been paid by the Chinese for 30 years, you are mistaken. The evidence is already there. It's just that no one's going to act on it because she's too old to prosecute, too big to fail. Well, there's, I guess, too old to prosecute, which would include Maxine, which would include Pelosi, good old Nancy, and certainly Dianne. They don't even know what day of the week it is. Remember when Dianne turned around and asked her staffers, did we leak it? Did we leak it? I don't know. I can't remember. Did we leak it? Oh, you say we didn't? We didn't? Oh, okay. We didn't. My staff tells me we didn't leak it. But if her staff had told her she did leak it, then I guess she would have turned around and said she leaked it. And then you got Kamala Harris coming in with a letter that the person who wrote it says they're an educator. Impossible. Read the letter. That is the most pathetic attempt I have ever seen in my entire life to smear someone. Kamala Harris, your bid for the 2020 has gone down the toilet along with Spartacus, Corey.
Well,
it's gone.
Thomas, I don't see anyone viable to run as a Democrat presidential candidate. Nobody. Are we looking at an extinction level event for the Democrats?
Yes, Pocahontas is
No,
now...
she's not viable. I mean, she could put her name out there. She's not viable.
That's the point.
She's way too left.
They keep putting out everyone they can so they can do the polls to find out no one is even going to scratch the surface from the Democratic Party.
You have to find someone who can beat Donald Trump. Good luck.
Right. Now, what were we talking about, Brexit?
Well, we're looking at this deal with Canada and Mexico. We're looking to see, is it good? And I am particularly interested in how this affects the United Kingdom, because as we now know, it is the United Kingdom, the government, the monarchy, that are our enemies. They're the ones that planned this whole overthrow of America, along with their spy networks with Stephen Halper and Christopher Steele and Privy Council. For those of you who have not followed us, that might be a shock, but it is the British that are our enemies. And so when more people come to understand this, I want to know, are we going to put sanctions on the United Kingdom? And then how will that affect this trade deal with Canada?
Well, it will affect the United Kingdom a bit, being part of Canada being part of the Commonwealth. And certainly the Privy Council gets their cut of every deal. So you can bet that the Queen's golden shares got a little bite into them with this new deal. But is it going to affect Brexit? Well, Brexit's probably not going to happen, folks. George Soros is doing a great job over there of controlling the European Union, controlling free speech, which there is none now in Europe or in Britain. And of course, that's being spread to other countries, all the United Kingdom countries, all the Commonwealth countries, same thing, no free speech, and complete mega control by the tech lords. So is this going to affect Brexit? Well, remember that Trump was going to do a bilateral deal with Theresa May. That's what was actually basically propping up the Brexit deal. But because she won't move quickly forward on it, Boris Johnson is going to take over, because I'm sure that George Soros has lined his pockets with gold by now.
Okay, let me be more specific. I don't think I'm asking or engaging this conversation the right way or framing it. You see, as part of this deal, this USMCA deal, the United States has veto power over the trading partners that Mexico and Canada can bring into their country, if I read that correct. Is that what you read?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so if the United Kingdom is deemed as an enemy of the United States for all the actions that they have taken, in which we have proven without a shadow of doubt they committed these acts against America, then could the United States tell Canada in this relationship, no, sorry, we can't be having you do any deals with the United Kingdom? That would so upset the apple cart.
Oh, yes. Once the British Spygate has actually been prosecuted and people have been indicted, there's no reason that they should be part of Five Eyes. There should be no Five Eyes intelligence community sharing with the Brits, the Canadians, New Zealand, Australia, and us. Absolutely not. There shouldn't be any such thing. It's been proven to be a source of tremendous problems with Robert Hannigan spying on the Trump campaign. That means we have to end our associations with them. So, is it going to affect Britain? Yes, it will, for a variety of reasons. One of these reasons is because they were going through the back door and buying and dumping things upon our market through Canada and through Mexico. Everybody was. And they were making, Mexico and Canada were making a ton of money by being brokers who were supposed to be our friends, who were in fact ripping us off. That has ended, and that is why there is a clause that says that if the Trump team, Trump himself, doesn't like some new arrangement that is being made, they can simply veto it. In other words, we are no longer filling their pockets full of gold. We are no longer being held hostage and being vampirized by our trade partners, including Britain. Now, Britain and the European Union, they're ripping us off magnificently. Look at the way that Germany was lying about the Nord Stream 1 oil, Nord Stream 2 oil, probably, also coming into Germany. They were ripping off everyone in the European Union. Has that even been brought to anybody's conscious attention over there? No. They're too busy having their free speech taken from them and going into a second Brexit vote, which there should not be. The vote was very clear. The Conservatives in Britain do not want to be part of the European Union. They understand George Soros runs the European Union, and they can just see what he's done recently with the complete 180-degree change in the way that the European Union is handling migrants. So it could end the Spygate accusations in Britain, which are not accusations, let's call them indictments. When those indictments come, yes, anybody then doing business with Britain could then receive this type of sanctions that Britain would have to have placed upon them for these criminal actions. These are war actions. This is an attack. This is a coup d'etat, a regime change, a Soros-color revolution, call it whatever you want, but behind all of them
is the Queen of England.
Absolutely, every single time.
I know, and people will go, no. Now, again, we are not picking on the people of Great Britain, but because you're just as much a slave to this as we are in the United States. But we as a people all over the world need to overthrow this globalist, elitist club that thinks that they rule us. And now they're moving into digital tyranny. This way we'll all be locked into prison. We'll never escape. You will never be able to evolve as a human being because you don't really know what a full human being is because we have been suppressed for centuries by this cabal. Once these things are lifted and we can realize our full potential, oh my goodness, what is the limit? But until then, we are in their prison.
Oh, we're in Facebook's prison. It's a psyops war
Not
against us.
Not just Facebook.
But specifically, Facebook has just claimed that they have manipulated 25% of all elections throughout the world. That by their algorithms and by what they show you and what they offer you, same thing for Google. Google is equally as bad, if not worse. Same thing for YouTube. Same thing for Twitter and all the other ones. What they offer you as your choices or what you get as your queries is a manipulation. And it is a manipulation that can control elections, and it can control everything that you just mentioned, Betsy. It can control your freedoms, economic freedoms. It can control your social freedoms, your access to things. It can control your ability to even go on the internet because they deem you to have an Apple score, a social score from Google, or the Facebook trust score. They're already happening, folks. It's already in place here. It's getting worse by the day.
And this is why it's so important that we go out, every single person listening to this and everyone in your circle of influence, to get out and vote the midterms. Because we need to act swiftly and severely against the enemies of the United States. And Trump needs to have our support, which he will have once we put more of his team people in place.
This is MAGA against the globalists. It isn't the Republicans against the Democrats. Democrats for Trump. There are many, many, many walkaways. Democrats for Trump now. It is huge what's going on. And what's happening with the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing shows that some people who are up for vote, being reelected, they're going to not receive the votes that they've received in the past, simply because Trump knew when he threw Brett Kavanaugh's name into the ring that it would cause a huge fight and that people on both sides of the aisle, the Republicans and the Democrats, would come out and show exactly who they are, Jeff Flake, exactly who they are, Kamala Harris, you criminal Dianne Feinstein. You should go to jail for what you've done.
And I feel very badly the way they've treated Brett Kavanaugh. But again, I bring up, he is a senior executive service operative. So is his wife. And he was involved in writing the Patriot Act. So I want to know, why is Rand Paul supporting Brett Kavanaugh when his history as a legal writer shows that he is not for the Bill of Rights?
He's not for anything. We were against Brett Kavanaugh from the beginning because he's not for anything. He writes up the excuse for whatever side asks him to write it up. And no matter what it is they want, for instance, when he was writing up the impeachment statement that he made that says that you don't have to have a crime to be impeached as the president, or when he was writing his support, how reasonable and
or covering Hillary's butt on Vince Foster.
Oh, yes, and as you say, for the U.S. Patriot Act, nothing could be worse than that. that you take the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and throw them away. The U.S. Patriot Act, which was changed and reaffirmed by Obama as the U.S. Freedom Act, continues to this day, and you have no freedoms, folks. If you are even slightly suspect of being a terrorist, which you could be for any reason whatsoever, it abnegates your entire constitutional rights, your U.S. Bill of Rights.
Well, the entire Senate everybody is probably struggling to keep this vote from happening, because when the vote happens, they have to show who they are, what side they're on. Are they MAGA or are they globalists?
Absolutely. And it's beautiful because we said this would happen. And I don't know which way the vote is going to go because all it takes is one vote. Remember, it comes down to these one or two votes. Why? Because that makes the drama. That makes it that just one person standing up for what they think is their morality can actually change the course of history. That's not true. You have to remember that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce pays the leadership, and the leadership of the different parties tell the people in the party what to vote, or they don't get their money. Why do you think they always vote according to party lines, except for the few people who are the outliers?
And why do you think, Lindsey Graham was grandstanding? Well, he's grandstanding because he wants you to think that he's on your side. And now he's already saying, well, maybe President Trump should pull back the nomination and wait until after the midterms. That's exactly what they all want to do. And Lindsey Graham, he's just full of it.
Lindsey Graham gets a call every night from John McCain, who tells him...
Oh, is he still alive, or is this from the grave, or is this from Gitmo?
I'm not going to clarify that for you. You can guess yourself. But every night, Lindsey Graham talks to John McCain, and John McCain tells Lindsey Graham he's not there, and that Lindsey Graham has to take his place, and that he has to scream and yell, and that if he screams and yells loud enough, right now, virtual signaling for things that he's never believed in his entire political career, he might become the next attorney general.
Oh my
He might take
gosh.
Jeff Sessions' place. That's what John McCain is telling Lindsey Graham right now, because we've never seen Lindsey get upset about anything except when the U.S. Congress wouldn't give enough money to buy more bombs and more wars, that he would go with John McCain to support. Remember, Lindsey Graham and John McCain were given the highest awards they could be given by the Nazis in Ukraine. The very Nazis who gave Paul Manafort and the Podesta brothers the money that is the contentious money that got Paul Manafort locked up. Didn't get John Podesta locked up, didn't get Tony Podesta locked up, but Paul Manafort, he went to solitary confinement over money from the same people, the same exact three oligarchs who put the highest Medal of Honor around the neck of Joe Biden and Lindsey Graham and John McCain. They are supporters of Nazi fascism. Do not believe a word Lindsey Graham
No, do
ever
not
says.
believe him. Whatever he does, whatever drama unfolds with that man. Now let's move on to the POTUS's speech in Tennessee. He gave a rally in Tennessee last night. It was great. We watched it, and it was very impressive of how many people did not make it in. The crowds were huge, inside and outside. It's just great to see everybody coming out and just, sharing the camaraderie with one another. Many times as we're isolated in our workplaces or homes, wherever you might be isolated, you don't bring it up. You don't talk about it because it is so volatile, because this is a civil war. It's like an information civil war that the United States is going through right now. So it was a great place for folks to gather and to share their love of the MAGA movement.
And look at him leading the MAGA Republican Party compared to Obama and Hillary. If you take all the people that have shown up for any event where Hillary or Obama have come to support a Democrat, it doesn't equal one rally of Trump's. So remember when we were told how Trump was 12 points down, 14 points down, and that, and then we were watching these magnificent gatherings of people and people waiting outside to get in and so on and so forth, just a rock star of politicians like we've never seen before.
And Hillary had to bus high school students into her events.
Last talk that Hillary gave that I saw was in a high school gym, and it wasn't full. A high school gym. It didn't even have 1,000 people there. Same thing for Obama. Obama now, strangely enough, only speaks to small groups because as you've noticed, people are yelling from the audience, and then he has to yell back. So he's getting what Trump got when they paid those people to go in and be obstructionist and violent, aggressive people in Trump's rallies. And now Obama and Hillary are getting that. People are calling out questions and they had to be removed from the room. So Obama and Hillary together, even if they showed up on the same ticket, would probably, at this point, lose the Democratic candidate points in the poll.
Democrat. Trump wants you to start calling it Democrat.
I call them demon rats.
Okay.
So I
that's
think I'll
even
just
better.
shift to demon rats.
And then one of the last tweets was from Trump that we're looking at today was one that said, hey, if you want to want to keep all this winning, you need to keep voting Republican, but reverse, if you don't want all this winning, vote Democrat.
The only reason to vote Democrat is if you are tired of the winning. I like that calendar you put up there of Trump's 1982 summer, which every single day said, too much winning. Winning, winning, winning. And that's what it is, folks. You can't name anything he's not winning. Anything. And once you do name it, then we're going to tell you that it's even further along than you know, because there is so much going on behind the scenes.
Tell us about that. Tell us what you think's going on.
Oh, well, with his multiple national emergencies that he's declared, anyone who is working against us, like China in this midterm election, we don't have to do any business with them. As a matter of fact, we can stop anyone from doing business with them that does business with them by putting sanctions on China for meddling in the election, exactly as Obama put sanctions on Russia for meddling in the election.
And how are we going to make sure that people like Mitt and Tag Romney and their Optech system aren't meddling in the election this round? Because that's the absolutely only reason that the Trump ticket won't win.
Well, what Facebook is doing was perfected. First off, Facebook's getting their money from George Soros and the Atlantic Council for the new manipulative tools that they're using to meddle in this election, which is quite overt, and they've admitted it. And practically every day, certainly every week, it comes out further security breaches and further trusts that have been broken by Facebook, Google, YouTube, and the rest of them. So what you said was true. It goes back to the British Privy Council. Why? Because Optech, the very software that runs our election machines, was developed by Lord Malloch-Brown.
Worldwide, not just the United States election machines.
Oh, good point. Optech is worldwide. It was developed by the rogue CIA in Venezuela under Jimmy Carter. And Lord Malloch-Brown, who developed that at that point, was actually taking his instructions by a group that is even more powerful than that, the Cambridge Intelligence Group, which has a group called Strategic Communications Laboratory, which for many years has bragged that they have manipulated over 100 elections worldwide and changed who ran nations. And they're very proud of it. They actually advertise this on their own websites. So when we say that these things are going on and they're in Britain, that it's commonplace, it is commonplace. You just need to look at the research that we presented to you, along with our friends from Americans for Innovation, and Michael McKibben and his good researchers, and all of our other researchers that support Betsy and her team, and you will have the facts of how this is done. We are not speculating. We do not give you conspiracy theories. And if we speculate, we will tell you we're speculating. Now, occasionally I speculate. Matter of fact, I think people like for me to speculate because then it proves whether or not we can predict by sheer logic what is about to happen. What you'd like to know is Kavanaugh going to be confirmed? We said from the beginning.
I don't care.
I
really don't care because I just see it as a distraction so that Trump can get the deeper issues taken care of while they're not paying attention.
Here's the deal. At first, we thought that he would not be confirmed. We knew that this process would happen. We knew that it would be rigged. We knew it would show the ugliest side, particularly of the Democratic Party, the Demon Rat Party. But at this point, it doesn't matter. Everybody's shown their evil side so beautifully that it has cost the midterm for the Democrats. It has cost some Republicans their job. And at this point, if he gets confirmed, more power to Trump, because Brett Kavanaugh, who is a turncoat, who is a chameleon, who has absolutely not, under any way of looking at it, been consistent in his decisions or in what he has supported when he has given his writings to other Supreme Court justices. Trump knew that. He knew, but he also knew that the Democrats had that same phrase that they had for Robert Mueller. Absolutely impeccably ethical. Never done anything wrong in his life. No one could be any higher than Robert Mueller. He is the Boy Scout. He is an Eagle Scout. He is a holy, religious, sacred man. Right? That's what they said about Brett Kavanaugh. Same things Trump is quoting. He's sticking it back in the Democrats' face because he knows that Brett Kavanaugh is a turncoat and will go, of course, to whatever Trump says to do. And speaking of turncoats...
Well, you know, after Brett Kavanaugh has been through what he's been through, and Trump keeps lavishing the praise, if he does get in, he will be forever beholden to Trump.
Totally. Christine Blasey Ford's dad is as criminal, corrupt CIA, rogue CIA, illegal rogue CIA banker who supplies laundered money to the Washington elite, whose father, her grandfather, also was a part of this bank, and it's as criminal as it can be. It's just like the three banks that Stephen Halper runs for the CIA, which are also criminal banks right in Washington, D.C.
But that's what I was saying the other day, is that you're going to see the FBI versus the CIA, because you've got the CIA all running over there on the Blasey Ford side, but then you've got the FBI coming in now to investigate the CIA operative.
Yeah, they're investigating Stephen Halper, and guess what they found out? That
I'm talking about Christine is the operative.
Oh, of course.
The FBI has got to investigate her now. What are they going to say? They're not. I mean, this is putting everyone in such tight corners.
They know that she's CIA. They know that they're not going to support any of those allegations. They're not going to support the rape allegations of Kamala Harris. Kamala, you are a disturbingly disgusting person to believe that letter. That anyone could believe the letter that you made public, that you held on to until the last questioning of Kavanaugh, when you started asking him, are you still raping young girls in the backseat of your car like you were in 1982? I mean, that's the kind of questions they were asking him. Read the letter, folks. Read the Russian dossier. Read Christine Blasey Ford's letter. They're so fake that literally, if I gave it to a fifth grade class and they couldn't show me why it was fake, I'd have to fail all of them. Anyone could see that they were fake. And it's just pathetic that this kind of politics goes on and that people don't call it out. Thank heavens we have a president who does call it out. And what we're going to see now is more and more unveiling as Freedom of Information Act's requests come out, as Judicial Watch continues to get those FOIA requests, as things are declassified, as the different committees in the House and the Senate keep getting declassified materials, unredacted materials, as the witnesses, over 70 witnesses who came before the House Intelligence Committee, that's going to be released soon. So we'll get to see their stories and compare them. And then that's when we're going to see the lies. That's when we're going to have literally 75 to 85% of the people involved in these cases have committed perjury. And it will be quite simple to simply look at their testimony. For instance, when Comey came out yesterday and said, we have to get to the bottom of Kavanaugh. We have to do a thorough investigation, and you cannot hold up the FBI. You cannot make them go fast. From a man who has yet to be investigated.
Where are the handcuffs around that man? Why is he still roaming anywhere on the face of the earth as a free man?
Who's still conducting? Well, that's because Christine Blasey Ford's father is in charge of a security company called Admiral Security Services that is protecting Comey, Andrew McCabe, and 5 or 6 others who have all resigned who are part of the coup.
But you see the dilemma? Now you've got the CIA involved in protecting these FBI stooges. But then the FBI has been called in to investigate the CIA operations. This sounds like San Bernardino all over again.
We cannot expect the FBI to do anything appropriate at this time because the DOJ has, I guess, only a few moral people in it out of the 117,000 who are there, because each and every one of you should be coming out, turning in your bosses and the people that you saw commit these crimes and committing them to this very day. And if you didn't, then you need to simply look at the facts, like an Imran Awan case, and as a member of the Department of Justice, write an expose of the reason that that criminal needs to be locked up for the rest of his life and that he was the source of the breach from the DNC and from the DCCC and Guccifer 2.0 and DC Leaks, all of those.
But these people will never be able to do that kind of job, Thomas, because they belong to a group called Senior Executive Service, and they are the shadow government deep state that are there locked in position to continue to obstruct and hopefully, in their point of view, is to overthrow our government.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, Kavanaugh and his beautiful wife are both SES members. But at the same time, so are most of these criminals in this very, very, very evil shadow government dark cabal.
You know how evil they are? It could be, and this is just speculation, that Brett Kavanaugh has no idea about his involvement with SES other than being just a regular rank and file member. But they have dirt on him because they did backgrounds and profile checks. They have plenty of dirt on him, waiting for him to get into a key position so that when it's time for him to vote on something that's critical, sort of like John Roberts with the Obamacare thing, boom, they bring out the blackmailable issue and they own that guy. So all SES people are not necessarily active operatives. They are just lying in wait.
Well, look at the allegations of the rape on the sailboat that came from his signing into a club that he wasn't ever at. Thank you, Hillary Clinton, and your crypto keys. Look at the FBI now revealing that they actually interviewed Kavanaugh after that bar fight where he threw ice at somebody and the person got their ear cut. Fortunately, no charges were brought, but the deal is, why weren't they brought? Those are the same people going to Georgetown, they're in the area around D.C., who are part of what you would call the rogue CIA dynasty. Now remember, some of this dynasty was in the White House. And so this is a very highfalutin dynasty of people who their brothers and their sisters and their dads and their moms, like look at Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok, even one of his relatives is connected to Christine's brother who works for Baker Hostetler, who was the group behind Fusion GPS. You can't get any more thick of thieves than you get around these, what I would call rogue CIA dynasties. And they go on for generation after generation after generation. Peter Strzok is in the position he's in because his dad...
It's the family business.
It was the family business, and it still goes on to this day. And little Miss Ford is certainly one of those. So just like Trump said, there's only one reason to vote Democrat, Demon Rat, the party of crimes, the party of criminals, and that's if you're tired of winning.